said to us, "Return, ye backsliding children, and I will heal your backslidings. Behold, we come unto thee, for thou art the Lord our God."
Not long into the events of September 11, 2001, a conviction began to build within me. While watching planes explode and buildings collapse and people die, while listening to heads of state and people on the streets and reporters, while trying to think about how it would affect our world, that tremendous crisis, a conviction began to build. His name is Richard Kyle, who wrote a book entitled "The Last Days Are Here Again, A History of the End Times." And though written prior to the event of 9/11, his title expresses explicitly a sentiment similar to mine and probably to you too. Other people who view the events that day having much the same conviction that we had. But the end was in our minds. The end is near. It's a solemn, sovereign realization. I don't think that I need to enter into details, but in the days following September 11, conversations took place among Christians who wonder if this mess has finally gone so far as to have no human solution. And the question that we ask this morning is, has the time finally come when we are to seriously lift up our trumpets? Do you remember the words of that famous hymn that we sang so many times? I worked for 8 years with the Voice of Prophecy radio. And of course, I was taping the programs for the Spanish programming, and we were listening that song constantly. I think I listened it for, I don't know, thousands of times. Lift up the trumpet and loud let it ring, Jesus is coming again. Cheer up, ye pilgrims, be joyful and sing, Jesus is coming again. Coming again, coming again. Jesus is coming again. You know, I listened to many sermons through my life about this subject. I participated in many Bible studies. I got on many discussions that promise, beyond any reasonable doubt, that Jesus was coming soon and was coming again, and he was coming sooner than we could imagine. But year after year and decade after decade of waiting has caused the anticipation to cool and the hope to dissipate, at least in many people. And consequently, the prospect of preaching the imminent second advent of Christ produces different responses in people. For a few, the response is yes. That is the blessed hope, and it's about time we talk about it again and again. But for other people, there is a question of what is next on the agenda. And some even wonder, when are we going to learn to just leave it alone and let it happen whenever it will? But you know something? September 11 happens, and we intuitively know it, that the time of the end is here again. Now what is the question that we ask ourselves? Since the end of time is here again, we began as the disciples asking, as they asked Jesus questions, Lord, when and what? And when will you return? And what will be the signs of your return? And we ever heard how Jesus refocuses them and us also onto who is coming and how is coming. Who is the one who will return? Who is it who will await for? And how do we watch for his coming? What does it mean to watch for his coming? And Jesus has been very clear and simple in his answers, told us that watching means doing the master's bidding. Watching means knowing Jesus on a personal, enduring basis. Waiting means using all our talents, all our abilities to increase his kingdom. And watching means caring for the simple and basic needs of people. So, questions come to my mind now. What? Now that we know these things, what difference do they make in our lives? What do we do now? What does all of this mean for the way in which we live life day in and day out? What are the implications of understanding preparation for the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ? You know, I took a few words of Jesus Christ, and I think that I found 5 lessons that will be helpful to translating, if we can use that word, translating what Jesus said then into our everyday lives now. And the first of all is that we must remember that what seems lasting really isn't. Upon leaving the temple with Jesus that day, his disciples pointed out the beautiful temple of Jerusalem. I put a picture over there. It's a drawing, really. A magnificent building. And doubtless it was a splendid sight, because it was in a little mountain, so you could see it in all the splendor. And the temple occupied the center of both the Jewish hope and the Jewish pride. It symbolized the permanence of the nation and its dreams for the future. Even while the Pax Romana dominated the world in those days, the temple still stood for all that they were and hope to be. And it must have seemed as enduring to them as their hopes and dreams for their nation future were there, placed there. So Jesus' response to his disciples was very simple. Do you see all these buildings? And they said, yes, they are magnificent. And Jesus added, the time is coming when not one stone will be left upon another. All will be thrown down. And I was there in Jerusalem, and I saw those stones down. Beloved, for the people of New York, the possibility of those towers collapsing never even crossed their minds. In fact, had you asked any New Yorker that day about their permanence, if we asked them, do you think these towers will last? They could have answered unequivocally, absolutely. These towers are one of the marvelous modern time engineering. They are solid, they are stable, they are lasting. Well, today, if you go to Ground Zero, I never visited, my children visited Ground Zero. There are large trucks and cranes below at work rebuilding. I think they finish, or they are finishing the train station that had been below the ground in the belly of the World Trade Center. And gazing into that enormous empty space, we wonder, how can they be gone? How? Just gone. Unbelievable. They were so big, they were so beautiful, they were so lasting, but they did not last. Now they exist only in our minds, in our pictures, in our memories. And the effect of their collapse on levels economic, political, social, emotional, will continue to be felt for many, many years to come. Jesus warned his disciples of the same thing. Be careful where you put your trust, for the things that appear to last will not. This lesson has important implications for us. It is a reminder that despite the fact that we hope that Jesus would have come by now, the fact that he has not must not entertain us thinking that all things will forever continue as they now are. It is tempting to think that since it has not happened yet, our lives will continue to go on as they always have. That we will continue to work and play and invest our money and enjoy our friends and live the life we always have. Nothing will change. All these things will last and last and last. But you know something? Remember Christ's words in Matthew 24. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage,